right, and we're back. Welcome to This Week in Mediaocrity, where we present you with all the best in the worst of the media. I'm your host, Joel Foster, and yes, the CIA is watching you through this TV, but so is Santa Claus, so it's not all bad. All right, this week was yet another one where reality was stolen from a crappy paperback spy thriller. And this time, I have to admit that our president came out a big winner, despite looking like a kid dragged to grandma's house at today's meeting with German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Let's take a look.
Send a good picture back to Germany, please. Make sure.
How did your talk go, Mr. President?
Very good.
Talk about NATO?
Many things.
Sehr gut, danke. Ein freundlicher Empfang. Gute Gelegenheit, sich zu unterhalten.
Anything to say to British about intelligence?
Thank you.
Handshake.
Okay. Head up. Thank you, fellas. Fellas over here. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Handshake for you. Oh, Angela, you know that he doesn't touch women when they consent. What's the fun in that? But Trump had reason to smile in his bullfrog holding back vomit kind of way. Because he had a great week. There you go. He continued to troll the media with allegations that Obama wiretapped his phone because, I don't know why. At this point, it just seems like he's bored. It began nearly 2 weeks ago on March 4th when Trump released this famous tweet. We can forgive the spelling error because it's Trump after all, but I'm still hung up on the sick in parentheses thing. It's almost like he thought Nixon and Watergate are two different people. But it makes sense for Trump to blame his failings as a president on Obama. He's accused Obama of faking his birth certificate, of creating ISIS. He's even accused him of killing Jesus. But the wiretap story ended up taking so many twists and turns that we start believing crazy things, and that's what Trump does best. So where did Trump get the idea that Obama is behind the tap with two P's? Let's hear it explained to us by a guy in outer space who's still learning how to read.
Welcome back to End Times Prophecy News. Breaking news, we just discovered who issued the warrant to investigate Trump, and it's bad. According to reports, the FBI requested a FISA warrant during the campaign to investigate alleged ties between President Trump and Vladimir Putin. The question that has still not been answered is whether this warrant included the wiretap.
So 3 intelligence sources have.
All right, well, obviously it didn't come from Brother Jim. The wiretap story actually got on Trump's radar from radio show host and everyone's dad, Mark Levin. Levin made the accusations on his radio show, which was then written about by Breitbart's Joel Pollack, who I'm ashamed to share a name with, but who I'll admit is really good at selling those Breitbart hoodies. But nobody in Washington was following along at the time. Maybe the GOP learned not to follow Trump down his tinfoil rabbit hole, or maybe he just crossed the line this time. Because the wiretap allegations were denied by everyone, from Republican Devin Nunes, who chairs the House Intelligence Committee, to Attorney General Jeff Sessions, to even Sean Spicer, who would try and convince you that Donald Trump has golden bowel movements if Trump said it first. So the wiretap issue needed a new storyline. And this was created by Andrew Napolitano, the furry bridge troll who never heard a conspiracy theory he didn't like, and who houses a community of sparrows in his hair. Let's take a look.
So 3 intelligence sources have informed Fox News that President Obama went outside the chain of command. He didn't use the NSA, he didn't use the CIA, he didn't use the FBI, and he didn't use the Department of Justice. He used GCHQ. What the heck is GCHQ? That's the initials for the British spying agency. They have 24/7 access to the NSA database. So by simply having 2 people go to them saying, President Obama needs transcripts of conversations involving candidate Trump, conversations involving President-elect Trump, he's able to get it. And there's no American fingerprints on this.
So it's the bloody British who are behind this. I knew they'd be back, acting all cool after the Revolutionary War. Oh, you can have your own country, we're good. They've been planning this for over 200 years, and we've got the documents to prove it. So who are these 3 intelligence sources that Napolitano speaks of? Well, he doesn't say, but interestingly enough, a day after Trump sent his original tweet, and more than a week before Napolitano called out the Brits, Russia Today featured Larry Johnson, a former CIA agent, where he said this.
In this case, I understand from very good friends that what happened was both Jim Clapper, John Brennan at CIA were intimately involved in trying to derail the candidacy of Donald Trump. That there was some collusion overseas with Britain's own GHCQ.
To testify.
Well, he heard it from some good friends. So was Johnson one of Napolitano's 3 sources? It seems like he could have probably just referenced the interview, but he didn't. But let's talk about Larry Johnson. First, I should mention that he's been out of the CIA since 1998 and has no affiliation with the agency. He actually was once a darling of the left for a while. He used to post articles on the daily costs and pledged his support for Hillary Clinton in the 2008 race. This started his axe grinding against Obama, and it's just escalated since. He tried to convince the media that a video existed of Michelle Obama using the term whitey. Luckily, the media didn't buy it. Oh, wait. Oh.
To testify before the Senate. Barack Obama has also set up a nerve center 2 miles from the White House. According
Anyway. You keep going. Folks.
to testify before the Senate. Barack Obama has also set up a nerve center 2 miles from the White House. According to reports, his goal is to oust Trump from the presidency, either by forcing his resignation or through impeachment. This is a concerted effort across the board to delegitimize, sabotage, and eventually overthrow the Trump administration.
All right. All right, just keep going up. Sorry, guys. Hold on a second. All right. Anyway, so can we trust Larry Johnson? How should I know? But I do know that he clearly has something against Obama, and he can easily use his past CIA cred to make the case. But just because he worked for the agency over 20 years ago doesn't mean that he has intimate knowledge of what's going on there now. But that's the story that Trump is going with now, despite Sean Spicer promising Britain that they wouldn't implicate them in the wiretap stories anymore, and then walking that back about 2 hours ago. But it didn't end there, because InfoWars needs to get their own story going, and of course, it's the silliest of them all. Here now is InfoWars correspondent Paul Joseph Watson, the only guy who sounds dumber with a British accent. There we go.
To testify before the Senate. Barack Obama has also set up a nerve center 2 miles from the White House. According to reports, his goal is to oust Trump from the presidency, either by forcing his resignation or through impeachment. This is a concerted effort across the board to delegitimize, sabotage, and eventually overthrow the Trump administration.
So he says that Obama has set up a nerve center 2 miles from the White House. What is he talking about? Well, he's referring to a report, and I say that in the most tenuous way possible, from the Daily Mail, a British newspaper that lacks so much credibility that they can no longer be used as a source for Wikipedia. Wikipedia says they're not credible. Think about that. The story says that former Obama Chief of Staff Valerie Jarrett moved into the Obama's D.C. home. except that it wasn't true at all. Yes, the Obamas have a house in D.C. because they've lived in D.C. for the past 8 years. It's a bit of a stretch to call this a nerve center, unless that's what we're all calling our houses these days. Which reminds me that I'm late paying my nerve center rent this month. So what does this have to do with Trump winning? While all this was going on, like Jesus turning water into wine, Trump turned what should have been a terrible situation into a triumph. Rachel Maddow made a big deal of getting a copy of Trump's taxes, but it ended up showing that Trump paid his taxes minus some expected tax breaks. But overall, it was disappointing, like seeing Independence Day resurgence. So here's why he's winning. Even though his second Muslim ban was thrown out this week, Trump is getting exactly what he wants. Even though it was thrown out, he still gets his 2.0 Muslim ban credentials for at least trying. He gets to campaign some more, then hightail it to Mar-a-Lago for some weekend golf. Meanwhile, as we heard earlier, he has the Heritage Foundation writing his budget and doing all the hard work. We saw the budget proposal and all the cuts that hurt some of the same people that voted for him. It's perfect. He's taking the easy way out because that's what people do. We take the path of least resistance, the same principle that makes people like Donald Trump want to take away things like healthcare and job training and good taste. Which takes me back to Obama. Believe it or not, Trump and Obama are the same species. They're both human. And as a human, Obama is also going to take the path of least resistance. This is the picture of a guy taking the path of least resistance. He's enjoying his life because he doesn't have to be president anymore. Think about it, it's the worst job in the world. Why would he just go and ruin his legacy and then want to be president again? Why would anyone want to do that? It's like if instead of being crucified, Jesus became a small-time bookie. Why go ruin your reputation for something so small? But I guess we'll have to see how this adventure turns out next week because Trump swears that he'll deliver evidence on Monday. Should be fun. That's all the time I have for today. This has been Department of Mediaocrity, and I will see you next week. Have a great weekend. Thank you.